Every day, people come into my office certain they are doing everything correctly. They walk on a regular basis, often for 30 minutes or even longer. Yet they still struggle with knee discomfort, ongoing exhaustion, tingling sensations in their legs, and the feeling that their health is declining instead of improving. The first thing I ask is simple. How do you walk? That is usually where the real issue appears. Most of the time, the problem is not a lack of walking. The problem is the way they walk. Poor walking technique is not merely ineffective. It can place excessive strain on the joints, damage posture, burden the cardiovascular system, and contribute to persistent inflammation throughout the body. After 15 years in practice, I continue to see the same pattern repeatedly. For people over 50, walking is far more than a pleasant daily activity. It becomes a genuine health necessity. After the age of 50, the body undergoes a series of predictable and measurable physiological changes. Ignoring them can have serious consequences. The first change is the gradual loss of muscle tissue. This condition is known as sarcopenia. It refers to the age-related decline in muscle mass. Once past 50, individuals lose approximately 1 to 2% of their total muscle mass each year. At first glance, that number may seem small. Over a decade, however, it can amount to a loss of 15 to 20% of total muscle tissue. Muscles do much more than generate strength. They support joint stability. They help control blood sugar levels by managing glucose in the bloodstream. They maintain upright posture. They provide balance during movement. When enough muscle disappears, problems begin to develop throughout the body. The second change involves increasing joint stiffness. Cartilage, the smooth protective material covering the ends of bones, has no direct blood supply. Its nutrition comes entirely from movement. Each time a joint is loaded and moved, synovial fluid circulates through the cartilage. This fluid delivers nutrients necessary for maintaining healthy tissue. Without consistent movement, cartilage is deprived of that nourishment. It becomes thinner. Its flexibility declines. Eventually, deterioration begins. That process is known as osteoarthritis. It is not unavoidable. However, certain habits can speed up its progression. The third change is a slower metabolism. Basal metabolic rate, which represents the calories burned simply to sustain life while resting, decreases by roughly 2 to 3% every 10 years after 50. As a result, the same lifestyle that maintained a stable weight at 30 may lead to weight gain at 55. The reason is not necessarily a change in behavior. The body itself has changed. The fourth change affects circulation. Blood vessel walls gradually lose flexibility. The heart pumps with slightly reduced force. Circulation to the legs, feet, and smaller blood vessels becomes less effective. This explains why many people over 50 notice cold feet, leg cramps during the night, and a sensation of heaviness or fatigue in the lower legs by evening. The key point is that walking influences all four systems simultaneously. It stimulates muscle activity. It nourishes cartilage through movement. It boosts metabolic function. It supports healthier circulation. Research has repeatedly shown that people who walk regularly experience lower rates of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, and cognitive decline. However, there is an important detail that is rarely discussed. These benefits depend on walking properly. When walking technique is incorrect, the result is not simply reduced effectiveness. New problems can develop on top of existing ones. One of the most common mistakes is starting too quickly. I observe this across nearly every age group and fitness level. People leave the house and immediately move at full speed. It seems efficient. Why spend time warming up when you can begin right away? The body does not function that way. It cannot instantly switch from rest to full activity without consequences. Several things occur when a person begins walking too fast. First, the muscles are still cold. Cool muscle fibers are less flexible. Reduced flexibility increases the risk of microscopic tears. Individually, these tiny injuries may not produce symptoms, but over time they can contribute to chronic pain conditions. Second, the joints have not yet been properly lubricated. While resting, synovial fluid tends to collect in specific areas within the joint cavity. It takes several minutes of gradual movement for that fluid to spread evenly across joint surfaces and form a protective layer over the cartilage. If walking begins too aggressively, the cartilage experiences friction before adequate lubrication is established. Third, the cardiovascular system has not had time to adjust. The heart does not respond well to sudden demands. Rapid increases in intensity cause sharper rises in heart rate and blood pressure than necessary. After 50, when blood vessels have already lost some elasticity, these sudden spikes place additional stress on vessel walls. Fortunately, the solution requires no extra time. Begin every walk with 3 to 5 minutes at a deliberately slow pace. Move comfortably and without urgency. That period serves as a warm-up. Warm-ups are not reserved for athletes. They are essential for anyone who wants to walk without creating unnecessary strain. After 5 minutes of gentle movement, the joints are better lubricated, the muscles are warmer, and the heart has adjusted to activity. Only then should the pace increase. Another major mistake involves poor walking posture. Watch people outdoors, and you will see it everywhere. Many walk with rounded shoulders, their head pushed forward, and their eyes fixed on the ground a short distance ahead. This is more than an appearance issue. It creates serious mechanical problems for both the spine and the respiratory system. Consider the weight of the human head. An average adult head weighs about 11 pounds. When it remains aligned directly above the spine, the neck muscles support that normal load. But if the head moves forward by only 1 to 1 1/2 inches, the stress placed on the cervical spine increases to roughly 3 times the normal amount. When the forward shift reaches 2 inches, the load becomes 4 to 5 times greater. Instead of supporting 11 pounds, the muscles of the neck and upper back may effectively be handling 45 to 55 pounds continuously. Maintaining that position for 20 or 30 minutes during a walk creates ongoing tension in the neck, shoulders, and the base of the skull. Many people return home from a walk with neck pain because of posture, not because of age or environmental factors. The next consequence affects the lungs. When the chest collapses inward and the shoulders drift forward, breathing efficiency immediately suffers. The diaphragm, the main muscle responsible for breathing and located beneath the lungs in a dome-like shape, can no longer move downward through its full range. As a result, the lungs fail to expand completely. Breathing becomes shallow. Air is drawn mainly into the upper chest, rather than throughout the lungs. Reduced oxygen intake means less fuel for both muscles and the brain. A person may walk for 30 minutes, yet feel as though they have been active for an hour. Many people attribute this exhaustion to aging or poor conditioning. In reality, posture is often the true cause. There is another consequence that receives very little attention. Improper alignment during walking disrupts the body's entire mechanical chain. When the head moves forward, the lower back compensates by increasing its curve. The pelvis shifts position. The knees begin functioning at an incorrect angle. Stress on the knees and hips rises. This does not happen simply because someone is older. It often stems from a specific mechanical mistake that can be corrected. The solution is straightforward. Imagine a fine string attached to the crown of your head, gently lifting upward. This is not about forcing yourself into an exaggerated upright position. It is about allowing the spine to lengthen naturally and return to proper alignment. Keep the shoulders relaxed and slightly pulled backward, not a rigid military posture, just a comfortable and anatomically natural position. Look toward the horizon rather than down at the ground. Keep the chin level with the surface beneath you. Allow the chest to remain open. In this alignment, the lungs can operate at full capacity. The neck avoids unnecessary strain. Body weight is distributed through the spine as intended. Another common error involves footwear. Many people devote little attention to their shoes when planning a walk or deciding how far to go. That oversight can be costly because nothing influences the joints more directly than the material separating the feet from the ground. 2 age-related changes make shoe selection especially important. The first is thinning of the fat pads beneath the feet. These pads function as natural shock absorbers. They soften the force generated every time the heel contacts the ground. As those protective structures become thinner, the body loses part of its built-in cushioning system. Proper footwear must compensate for that loss. Without adequate support, impact forces travel upward through the body. The ankles absorb it. The knees absorb it. The hips absorb it. The lower back absorbs it. The second change involves weakening muscles and ligaments within the feet. Over time, the arch may begin to collapse. This condition is known as acquired flat foot. A flattened arch alters the loading pattern at the knee, changes the alignment of the hip joint, and increases stress throughout the spine. Quality walking shoes that provide proper arch support can significantly slow this progression. Several features are important in a walking shoe. Adequate cushioning should be present beneath both the heel and the forefoot. The sole must absorb impact effectively while still providing stable support. Arch support is also essential. That does not require a hard or rigid insert. Instead, the inside contour of the shoe should follow the natural structure of the foot and help prevent the arch from collapsing inward. A flexible forefoot is equally important. During walking, the foot needs to bend at the ball of the foot, which is the broad front portion. When the sole remains stiff from front to back, the natural heel-to-toe motion is interrupted. This places extra strain on the calf muscles and the Achilles tendon located at the back of the ankle. There is one more issue related to footwear. Many people continue using athletic shoes purchased 2 or 3 years earlier. The exterior may appear completely acceptable. However, the cushioning materials inside the midsole, positioned between the outer rubber layer and the interior lining, lose their shock-absorbing ability long before visible wear appears. For individuals who walk regularly, replacing walking shoes approximately once each year is recommended. This is not a sales pitch. It is a practical measure for reducing the risk of osteoarthritis. Another frequent mistake is walking only occasionally, but covering very long distances when doing so. This pattern is extremely common. Busy schedules during the week lead many people to save exercise for the weekend. They take a walk lasting an hour, sometimes even 2 hours. Afterward, they return home exhausted, but satisfied, believing they have fulfilled their weekly exercise needs. Physiologically, that approach is ineffective. The body does not adapt to isolated bursts of activity. It adapts to consistent repetition. Every walk sends the body a message that physical activity is a normal part of daily life. In response, the heart gradually becomes more efficient. Blood vessels adjust. Muscles gain strength. Metabolic processes remain active. This process is known as training adaptation. It only develops when the signal is repeated regularly. One walk per week does not provide a strong enough stimulus. The body never fully adapts, and the benefits remain limited. Even worse, a lengthy walk performed after several days of inactivity becomes a stress event for muscles that are unprepared. Those muscles are not conditioned for the workload. The next day they become sore. Many people then conclude that walking is not suitable for them, or that their joints are weak. That conclusion is often incorrect. The issue is usually not the joints. The issue is the pattern of loading. Medical evidence consistently shows that 20 to 30 minutes of walking on most days of the week represents the minimum effective amount needed for cardiovascular health. That routine lowers the risk of heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. The goal is not one extended walk on Sunday. The goal is 5 to 6 shorter walks, spread throughout the week. The body adapts only to what happens repeatedly. For those currently walking once weekly, increasing to 3 sessions is a practical starting point. Those walks do not need to begin at 20 minutes. 10 minutes is enough. After 2 weeks, add another 5 minutes. Gradual progression is not a sign of weakness. It is a deliberate strategy. The fifth major mistake involves keeping the arms still while walking. Many people allow their arms to hang motionless, hold them rigidly at their sides, or place them in their pockets. It may feel comfortable, but it removes a substantial portion of walking's benefits and interferes with normal movement patterns. Walking is not solely a leg activity. It is a coordinated whole-body movement. When the left leg advances, the right arm naturally swings forward. When the right leg advances, the left arm moves forward. This pattern, known as cross-coordination, is built into the nervous system. It spreads forces evenly through the spine and reduces rotational stress across the trunk during every step. Without arm movement, the lower back must compensate by rotating more than it should. For people already dealing with lower back problems, that extra motion can provoke pain. Arm swing also activates muscles in the shoulders, chest, and upper back. As a result, more total muscle mass participates in the activity. Greater muscle involvement means higher calorie expenditure, improved circulation, and a more active metabolism. The same distance walked with proper arm motion produces a stronger physiological response. Arm movement also helps establish rhythm and coordination. This becomes increasingly important after 50, when coordination gradually declines. A smooth, consistent arm swing supports a steady stride and lowers the likelihood of losing balance. To perform it correctly, keep the elbows slightly bent, approximately 90 degrees. Allow the arms to move naturally forward and backward, matching the opposite motion of the legs. There is no need to imitate the dramatic arm action used by competitive race walkers. Simply avoid keeping your arms fixed against your sides. After only a few walks, the difference becomes noticeable. Movement feels smoother. The rhythm improves. Walking often becomes easier almost at once. Another major mistake is carrying a phone in your hand while walking. 20 years ago, this issue barely existed. Today, it has become one of the most common habits people develop during a walk. Many individuals move along while reading messages, browsing content, or staring at a screen, believing they are improving their health. In reality, they are creating new problems. Consider posture first. When a person looks at a phone held in front of the body, or even lower near the waist, the head automatically drops downward. Earlier, we discussed the effect this has on the cervical spine. Stress on the neck muscles rises by 3 to 5 times. The shoulders drift forward. The chest becomes compressed. Breathing becomes shallow. Every problem associated with poor posture appears again, but now the effect is even stronger because the head is positioned lower than it would be during ordinary slouching. Safety is another concern. After the age of 50, the vestibular system, responsible for balance and orientation within the inner ear, gradually becomes less precise. Proprioception, the body's awareness of its own position and movement, also slowly declines. This is a normal aspect of aging. As these systems become less accurate, the brain depends more heavily on visual information to maintain stability during walking. When attention remains fixed on a screen, rather than the path ahead, the brain loses its most important source of spatial guidance. Uneven pavement goes unnoticed. Curbs are missed. Steps become harder to detect. Wet ground may not be seen. Sudden changes in elevation can be overlooked. The likelihood of falling increases significantly. For someone over 50, a fall is often far more serious than a brief inconvenience. It can result in a fractured wrist. It can cause broken ribs. Most concerning of all, it can lead to a hip fracture. For individuals over 60, a hip fracture frequently means prolonged immobility, surgery, and an extended period of rehabilitation. The solution is remarkably simple. Keep the phone in your pocket. There is another reason to do so. Walking is not only physical activity, it is also a neurological exercise. When attention is directed toward the road ahead, bodily sensations, breathing patterns, and the surrounding environment, the brain actively trains attention, coordination, and spatial awareness. These are real and documented benefits. When focus remains on a screen, those benefits are lost. The legs continue moving, but the brain is engaged elsewhere. Allow walking to remain what it is intended to be. The 7th mistake involves neglecting recovery after a walk. This topic receives very little attention. Many people assume walking is so gentle that recovery is unnecessary. That assumption is incorrect. Begin with hydration. Muscle tissue consists of approximately 70 to 75% water. Every process involved in muscle contraction, relaxation, and post-exercise repair occurs within a water-based environment. Even mild dehydration, representing a 1 to 2% reduction in the body's fluid reserves, measurably decreases muscle elasticity, slows recovery, and raises the likelihood of cramping. After completing a walk, drink a glass of water. This is not marketing advice. It is basic physiology. Stretching also matters. During walking, muscles repeatedly contract and shorten. When the activity ends, they remain slightly shortened. As time passes, that effect accumulates. Muscles become tight. Flexibility decreases. Joint mobility gradually declines. A constant sensation of stiffness may develop. This is especially noticeable in the calves, the hamstrings at the back of the thighs, and the lower back. 5 minutes of gentle stretching after each walk can prevent this issue. Rest is equally important. Many people assume that if walking provides benefits, then increasing the amount indefinitely must provide even more. The body does not work that way. Adaptation occurs during recovery, not during exercise itself. Recovery is the period when muscle fibers strengthen, joints remodel in response to loading, and the cardiovascular system adjusts to new demands. Without recovery time, adaptation cannot occur properly. 1 to 2 rest days each week is not a sign of laziness. It is the correct approach. Think of walking as one component within a larger system. Movement, hydration, stretching, and recovery all work together. Only when these elements operate as a complete system do lasting long-term results appear. There is one final clinical observation that connects everything discussed. Each of the 7 mistakes carries a different level of risk depending on age. Poor posture, worn footwear, and inadequate recovery create damage that is 2 to 3 times more significant after 50 than it is at 30. The reason is simple. Over time, the resilience of joints, blood vessels, and muscles gradually declines. A mistake that produced no symptoms at 30 may create very real problems by 55. The practical conclusion is straightforward. Apply the slow start principle. For the first 3 to 5 minutes of every walk, maintain a gentle pace without exception. No additional time is required. You are simply beginning more gradually. Next, evaluate your posture. Stand upright. Lengthen the spine. Imagine the head being gently lifted upward. Relax the shoulders and allow them to settle slightly backward. Remember how that position feels. Repeat it every time you begin a walk. Then inspect your walking shoes. Look carefully at the soles. If wear patterns are uneven, or if the shoes have been used consistently for more than 1 year, replacement should be considered. This is among the simplest and most valuable investments you can make for long-term joint health. Abandon the habit of relying on a single long walk each week. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes of walking on 5 to 6 days every week. If that target feels overwhelming, begin with 3 days. Add 1 additional day every 2 weeks. Slow progression is sustainable progression. Allow the arms to participate. Keep the elbows bent. Relax the shoulders. Let the arms swing naturally. Take them out of your pockets. Keep the phone stored away throughout the walk. If you prefer music, audiobooks, or podcasts, earbuds can be used. Just avoid holding and watching the screen. After every walk, drink a glass of water and spend 5 minutes stretching. Just 5 minutes. That small investment can help prevent chronic muscle tightness from developing over time. Walking remains one of the safest, most practical, and most effective tools available for maintaining health after 50. No gym membership is required. No expensive equipment is necessary. No special preparation is needed. What matters most is developing proper habits and approaching the activity with awareness. Small adjustments in the way you walk can create meaningful long-term improvements for the heart, the joints, the brain, and overall well-being. If this information was valuable, share it with someone who walks regularly and may benefit from these insights. Continue building healthy habits one step at a time and make every walk count. Please leave your thoughts about this content in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.